Hi, everyone. Ryan Fowler here with Teresa Kuhn, MindChrysalis Live. How do you like that new intro animation, Teresa?
I love it. It's beautiful.
We need to do one that has your name on it, and we were brainstorming about a show name, but haven't settled on anything yet.
That's your
You're like badass and badass. It's like, okay, we'll use that, right?
You didn't like my suggestion, but that's okay.
It's a rough draft. It's all good. So pretty interesting clip today. We're going to have a discussion. It's kind of not a black and white issue at all. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. So about a month ago, I believe, there is a USC quarterback. He's probably going to be a round one draft pick for the NFL, and he's a likely Heisman Trophy winner for this year. He's a leading candidate for the Heisman. His name is Caleb Williams, USC quarterback. Incredibly talented, manly man, right? And just alpha male, like top of the top. As very bright future. But he lost a game, or his team lost a game to Washington, who's now ranked, I think, number 2. And there goes their title chances. And at the end of this game, he runs into the crowd, runs into his mother's arms, starts crying. And there's been a lot of commentary, mostly negative, about this big, strong man going into the crowd crying. And so we're going to examine, is it okay for guys to cry? Men expressing emotion of any kind, what's up with that? Him being shamed. I mean, you'll see. We're going to show you this. Because men do have emotions. So in what context should we display it? How do we deal with it? Because if you just bottle it up, keep it all bottled up, now you're an alcoholic. Now you self-delete, 30 years in the future, not good. So how do we navigate this paradigm? Teresa, welcome to the show. And what are your initial thoughts? Or maybe we play the clip first. What would you like to do?
I would play the clip first, but I do want to say that when we were preparing for the show today, I had my thoughts and they weren't very well articulated. And your response was like, that's exactly right. You were so spot on. And so you helped me really articulate my opinion, but I'd love for everybody to see the clip first.
Yeah. Don't just agree with me now, though.
I wouldn't.
All right. Well, there have been times in the past but we always keep our disagreements civil. That's the good news.
No, we do. And,
yeah, I only scream at you off camera. I'm just kidding. I've never screamed at you. I've never screamed or yelled. I don't think I've ever been angry at you ever.
I was just going to say, I don't think we've ever been angry with each other, and that's okay.
Yeah. Have you ever been pissed off at me and just held it in and I don't even know?
No, we show up really well for each other. And when I don't,
What about that day I missed my alarm and slept in and missed the show? Were you a little ticked off at me?
No, I wasn't ticked off at all.
You are so awesome.
Right?
Yeah,
and I know you respect my time greatly. And when you were asking me for something, and for whatever reason, I can't figure out how to turn off the, I got an update on my phone and I can't turn off the.
There should be a, on the left side, just a little switch, and you just flip it down.
You would think, but that's not.
Then iPhone 14, 15.
I've got several lines and it's an older phone, and for whatever reason it's not working, but.
Okay. Never mind then.
But what I was going to say was, when you and I disagree, we disagree with a great deal of respect and regard, and we speak in a very loving tone. So there's no, and it's just practice, right? Because you and I are not in a, romantic relationship where you're not necessarily triggering things for me that would be triggered in a romantic relationship. So.
Yeah, in a romantic relationship, we'd be constantly arguing.
It's all practice, right? And it's all an expansion of nervous system. How you show up with people is all practice. And in our most intimate relationships is when our triggers are most going to come out. And that's where, that's where you really hit the mat, right?
Well, and by the way, I know this is off topic, and we'll get to this clip in just a second, but for people who do inner work, one of the blessings of a romantic relationship is your significant other tends to bring out subconscious trauma. But when it's brought out, they trigger insecurities. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even saying they're trying to. It's just that a lot of our insecurities is tied to the opposite sex, because from a evolutionary psychology perspective, if you don't successfully mate with the opposite sex, you don't survive, or your genes don't survive. And our brain has two primary directives: survive and reproduce. Above all, those two are in there. So romantic relationships, sexual relationships where there's the potential for child rearing involved, actually goes to some very, very core survival passed on your genes mechanisms, and it goes to very core deep stuff that can be dug up just in that paradigm, irrespective of what the other person does. But if the other person's toxic, then man, it could really, or more importantly, if you have subconscious trauma, it's going to get triggered.
I think dating and intimate relationships.
Yeah, dating right there
gives you so much material to work with for triggers. And I've just learned, hey, when I'm triggered, I have to go inside. Why am I being triggered? Why did that, trigger me in this way? Why am I feeling this way? And, it took me a while to figure out that was the game. Right. But
yeah.
And relationships, the same thing.
Yeah. Well, it's another level, because there's the initial dating, but then there's a relationship where you actually are integrating together. What's the power balance going to look like? This person's getting closer. They're going to see my flaws now. So, not the topic for today, but not completely unrelated to it, and very important. Yeah.
Some people are anxiously attached. Some people are avoidant attached. If you're anxious or avoidant, you're probably not attracting a secured attachment. You've got, disorganized attachment. I think the attachment styles, there's so much science there and evidence for that. And it's still just part of good times. Fascinating. And today we're talking about Caleb Williams.
Today we're talking about Caleb. So let's go ahead and go into this clip, and then there's going to be a whole new discussion, and this is good stuff. So here we go. Oh, by the way, school.com, MindChrysalis, right there. There's a link. Free self-hypnosis. It's a very active community. If you guys want to actually get your inner world sorted out, there are free resources there actually help you. And 2 webinars a month, Q&A with me, all that good stuff. So go there, sign up. There's an ebook on how your subconscious mind works. So you can, of course, absolutely listen to these YouTube shows every week. But even more important, everyone can take action and improve their inner world, and it changes everything. It helps you up level in all aspects of life, and that's how you get started. I do stuff where you pay me, but there is actually really powerful stuff available for free on there, not just to learn, but actually improve your life. So consider that. Okay, so now we got this clip. Here we go. Oh, wait. Oh, we could do this. I'll just play this, and then we'll look at. They just lost the game.
Yeah. Laying in the arms of family there. Yeah. Tough night. Battle.
And he just starts sobbing. That's his dad on the right.
Third loss means that's as brilliant as his 2 years will be in LA. It's not going to result in a Pac-12 championship.
Yeah. Played well, led his team, did all he could. He just came up a bit short. It's part of the game.
So this guy, as far as being a man, he's a man's man. He's a quarterback. It's USC. It's a very, very good football team. He may get the Heisman this year. Probably going to be a first round, if not the number 1 NFL draft pick, period. Caleb Williams, and look at all this. So he jumps in, his mom and his dad comfort. He's just sobbing emotionally. Here's the reaction. Breaks down crying. What? They're like, what, dude?
You know what it reminds me of, right?
Look at this shaming language. Mommy on the field. Go ahead, cuddle with this dog. It gets worse. This is a big problem, but keep going. Sorry, Teresa.
No. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is the man in the arena, right? The poem by Theodore Roosevelt. It's not the critic who counts, right? It's and I pulled it up. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. So he had a really emotional moment, and his little boy came out.
Yeah, people are picking at the strong man who fell. They lost the game, and everyone's just dogpiling on him.
And how cool, on the one hand, how cool that he has that kind of relationship with his parents.
Great family dynamic.
Perspective, he's seen and supported. And how many of us have that? Not that many, right?
Not many. I didn't.
I certainly did not. So
I wouldn't cry in my mom's arms. It's just not that relationship. Yeah.
Crying. Why are you crying? Yeah. I was shamed for crying, for having emotions that didn't match what they wanted the emotions to be, right?
Yeah.
How cool that he gets to cry now.
Yeah. And, men and women, in family context, it depends on the family, but women are shamed for certain things. Men are shamed for certain things. It's generally more permissible for a woman to cry as far as society. And I'm outside the family context. As far as society is concerned, a woman cries. What do you think the reaction is going to be if a woman is in public and starts crying or crying on TV or where other people see it? What do you think the reaction will be for that as opposed to a guy crying?
I would have, so I want to take this in steps, right?
Sure.
Tell me about the women's, NBA or the women's soccer when they lose games or when they get emotional off the field. Are there any videos out there of these women, losing a game or getting hurt and
they're crying
and going to other women for emotional support? Is there any shaming there? I doubt it.
Zero. I don't see any.
Right.
At all.
I'm sure they're out there
if
crying.
anything, people feel sorry for them.
Right. So now the next level, right? As a woman in a relationship with a man from a romantic perspective, I'm not saying if I was in a relationship with Caleb, that would have turned me off. But if I'm in a relationship with a man and from an emotional perspective, day-to-day issues or a big issue happens. I'm not talking about, the death of a parent or a child or anything like that. But if day-to-day, he's all about his emotions and his feelings, I can tell you I'm totally going to be turned off.
Yeah. And I've literally if a man has a wife or a mom or a dad or a brother die and they're crying, people are going to feel sympathy for that guy. But if the guy something goes wrong and he cries. I've literally had women tell me a story about how they're on a date and the guy cries and she's like, so turned me off. I never had a second date for that reason. And look at this here. Look at, let's go through all this. Look at how they shame this guy. Whoa. I think this is a problem. I'm not sure what to make of them, but look, there's some worse stuff down here. I cried like a baby, crying hypocrisy. It's that they're saying that your crying is a sign of emasculation in football and men.
Give me a break. So from a PR perspective, was that
they call him a crybaby here? They call him too soft. Go ahead.
Was that the best PR move? No, but how cool for him that he felt so safe that he was able to go to his parents for comfort. Like, how cool.
Yeah.
But from a PR perspective, was that the best move? No, but I mean, give the guy a break. Like, that's ridiculous.
I'm not shaming him.
Yeah, I'm not shaming him either. Like, the man in the arena, like, all those guys are, what are they? Armchair quarterbacks, all the critics.
Yeah, they're not the person in the battlefield.
No.
They're the critic who sacrifices nothing and risks nothing by criticizing the strong man.
Right. They're probably hanging out in their mom's basement, right?
Yeah, eating Cheetos.
Look at that
in
guy,
their underwear.
right?
Yeah.
They're projecting all their stuff. Now, I will say, in a romantic relationship, I've gone on dates where guys do tear up talking about their dads that have passed away or what they meant for them in their life or, whatever. That doesn't bother me. But if there's a lot of emotion, and this was where you hit the nail on the head when we were planning the show. There's a lot of emotion, and it's not about their love and devotion to me or maybe their child. Yeah, it would be a turnoff.
Yeah. So crying, if it's tied to they're crying because they're struggling, because they lost, because of any type of weakness. And actually I remember now, do you remember that time we're eating at the restaurant and I was talking about how I want to change the world with this? And remember I cried?
I was totally turned off. No.
Well, yeah, you're like, who is this pussy?
No. But we don't have a romantic relationship, so that I see you.
I probably cry like twice a year. It's very rare for me, And
there's nothing wrong with crying. I think in a romantic relationship, though, in a masculine feminine polarity, where the man is more masculine than the woman, I can tell you from a feminine perspective, I want a strong man. I want a strong man emotionally, because as a feminine, I want a container of security, of protection, of provision.
I agree.
And if my man is showing up very emotional, that's not going to give me that warm and fuzzy that I can surrender to that man, because he's going to provide for me and make me feel secure. I do want him to profess his love and be emotional from a love devotion perspective.
But that's not a sign of weakness.
Do I want him to cry about that? Probably not.
Maybe like on your wedding day, he sheds a tear. I mean, would you be turned off?
That would be lovely. No, that would be amazing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I missed the message that was on there. Who left a message?
All right. Yeah. Let me actually read some of these comments out. Mike Horton mostly agrees. Your problem with Caleb was he cried on national TV as a captain. He should join the rest of the team and reconciled with them. There are times as a man you need to stay strong for your wife, kids, and friends, but he's young and he'll learn from this. And I think this actually ties in. Spark, hi, how you doing? Loyal watcher Spark. Would say no, never in front of others. It's okay to feel what you do in the moment. You got to be strong. I've done episodes, Inner Game Group, my Saturday show. We've done episodes on stoicism. And what I said is there actually are times where as a guy, you just got to get stuff done and put your emotions aside and get shit done, just straight up. But there's also an issue with men where they never resolve their inner stuff. They don't have anyone they can go to and be, vulnerable in front of. We had shows on vulnerability. So what should a guy do if he does have stuff he's really hurting inside? Can he be vulnerable to anyone? Or does a guy just always need to stay strong and, not face this stuff, push it down and just toughen up? Stop being a wimp. What would you say?
I think there's a time and place for a man to deal with his emotions and deal with his trauma. And there is some data out there that says men that are in therapy a long time and are really focused on their emotions, etc., it's an issue. It's not ideal. I think there are a lot of men that can deal with their trauma, that have a lot of trauma that need to be dealt with, and there's a place for that. But the therapy is different for men than it should be for women. Women can talk about their emotions all day long. They can sit, because that's how our brains are wired, right?
Yeah.
And we can sit with our emotions and we can talk about them and we can express them. And we can do that with our women. And I think women that show up extremely emotional with men, right, who just, go on and on and on and on about their emotions, a masculine man's not going to put up with that either, right?
Yeah.
It drags them down. So it's not just, men and the women can do whatever they want. No, there's a time and place for both male and female to deal with their emotions.
Do you think it's possible for a guy to just never cry and never talk about his fears, his struggle? Because here's the thing. Every guy, Andrew Tate included, has struggles, moments of weakness, moments where they're afraid, they're anxious, they feel not good enough, they don't believe in themselves, they have doubts, insecurities, whatever. Every single freaking man and woman on this planet who has ever walked the planet ever, we have all struggled with that. You think a guy can never express that and just suck it up and be okay? Is that ideal?
No, I don't. I absolutely not. And think about it though from an evolutionary perspective, right?
Yeah.
And the cavemen or the hunters, right?
Yeah.
If the hunters were out hunting for food and they got hurt or they almost died and they had some trauma, how did they release that? If they sat there and cried like women do, they would probably get eaten by a tiger or they wouldn't be able to continue hunting, right?
Yeah.
Men are wired to deal with trauma and emotional issues differently than women. And
they are.
I will also say that, we know this from the Indians for sure. They have certain plant medicine that they used to heal from trauma, just like
they still use it if they can.
Heal from trauma, right? They have their own way of healing from trauma. And these tribes have these initiations for men, right? When a boy turned a certain age, they would have a ritual, an initiation with a certain type of plant medicine to release the trauma from a certain period of time. And if there were tribe members that had other issues, they would use other kinds of medicine. So we've gotten away from, of course, using the plant medicine. We have a pharmaceutical society that says if you're feeling something, here's a drug for you to deal with, or here's.
And in some ways, not always, but some ways that's inferior. In some ways,
of course.
Yeah. Psychedelics are making a comeback. Ketamine is ketamine's like the new therapy to like help people with depression. It's so much more effective than everything else. It's been around since the 50s, since the 1950s. And psilocybin and all this ashwagandha, all that other stuff been around thousands of years. It's an herb. Yeah. So my personal take is there are times where men want to project the image of strength because it helps others feel protected and secured. It helps others trust that man as a leader. But there are times, get a mentor, guys come to me all the time, resolve their stuff. No, many of them cry like babies in a session. And that's what they should do because they have deep trauma. A small trusted group of friends or a mentor or, get a session with me or whatever, one-on-one. As a man, you absolutely have to deal with that stuff. The ratio of men's suicides to women's is 4-1. And some will say 8-1. It depends on what study you look at. And you look at the military, 22 self-deletions a day in the military. Multiply that by 365. That's insane. Dentists, I saw a statistic, the self-deletion rate for dentists, which is some women, but more men, it's like 1 in 11. It's like an insane number. Yeah, well, it's that. By the way, dentistry is the highest self-deletion rate of any job. So I saw that statistic. It seems really high to me. Maybe it's wrong, but I saw that statistic, 1 in 11. And
That's
it's just
almost
like
10% of all dentists.
that's the statistic I saw. Yeah, let's Google it. But here's the thing: if you don't deal with your trauma, or you're going to become an alcoholic and you're going to beat your kids, or have some other type of maladaptive behavior.
Well, there's drug use, there's alcohol, there's all sorts of stuff that people use to numb
or you'll
themselves
stay small.
pain. And the trauma, there's incredible centers that deal with trauma for the veterans. And there's a huge movement with veterans and first responders to get plant medicine to them because it works, right? I went to a really interesting recording of a podcast with Timothy Leary's son and a guy that was high up in.
It's 12 p.m. in 1 minute, just by the way.
Okay, so some police, he was a sergeant or a captain, or he was high up, and he had done some training with the MAPS program and the psychedelic program, and really wanted to bring that medicine to the first responders, because first responders in an average career are exposed to over 200 traumatic events.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right?
You got to process it. You got to fix it, or otherwise there is a ton of dysfunction and damage. And but look at this. We were like, oh, it can't be 1 in 8. The self-deletion rate of dentists can't be high. Look at this. I was freaking right. 8.02. Females fight. Why do females do it less? Well, my argument is they have a support group. Women tend to have a bigger support group, and women don't keep this down as much. They express emotions much more freely. I think that's why their self-deletion rate is much lower. Look at that.
Yeah.
8% of dentists, of male dentists, 8%. That is insane.
That is insane.
That is insane. What kind of freaking society are we in? So, hey, crying in front of your tribe when they're looking to you as a leader, or when you need to project strength or leadership or whatever, for better or worse, it's going to have a negative connotation. Women will be turned off in a romantic relationship, etc. So take that into account. But, and honestly, yeah, I will, there's times that I'm just going to refrain from that. I mean, I don't want to cry a lot anyways, but there are times absolutely when I do. But with that said, guys, men, women, everyone, you got to deal with your emotions. You got to have someone you can turn to resolve stuff, talk stuff out. Again, a man does it different than a woman, but if men never address, and by the way, men, just going out and going fishing, that might be cathartic, that might relieve stress, but is not going to fix subconscious trauma. It just freaking won't, because subconscious trauma is stored in our body and it's a belief system. Just going fishing is not going to change or going into the shed and doing woodwork is not going to change these deep down childhood beliefs that are causing you trauma, addiction, physical abuse, just whatever, causing you to stay small, in your mom's basement playing video games, watching YouTube all day, and then shaming these guys that are, going out and losing football games and crying. So you're criticizing them so you feel better about yourself. But the truth is you're not getting what you want in life. Process it, fix it, and your life's going to be way better, and you're going to take off and get more of what you want. So that's my take. Anything to add, Teresa?
No, beautifully said. Thanks, Ryan.
Rock and roll. So that is our show for today. Guys, let me know. I'll have to do a poll as to what everyone thinks of the new logo, but we are MindChrysalis. We're helping everyone But we always believe in, hey, I'm going to take a more masculine standpoint, Teresa more feminine. That's why I have her on my show. It's important to have that yin and yang. And thank you for contributing, Teresa. And hey, guys, we can resolve stuff. If you don't have anyone to rely on, you can find someone. Those people are out there. I'll help you out. You know, no problem. Reach out to me. It's all good. But you really do. We got to be smart with how we express our emotions, acknowledge society for what it is, not do something that bites us in the butt later, but process it, because you really do have more power than, you know. That's our show. Thank you.